Hello, hello, welcome to the room. I said I was going to start singing and I do it every time. Today is Lovely Wednesday, and we're here, our meditation series. So how has everybody been doing this week? And I ask you that every day because we need to start being mindful of the things that are going on around us. So that's a challenge and, filler. Hold on just 2 seconds. I always need to share so we can get everybody in the room. All right, cool. So, last session. Hold on, because now I'm talking for the first time ever. Here we go. Sorry. Every time I tell y'all, every time something crazy happens. So, last session, we talked about stress and anxiety, and how those are kind of like the root causes sometimes that get in the way of us living our best life and actually like being able to do the things we want to do and, sometimes show up our full selves in the challenges that we give ourselves. Sometimes it's hard to show up as your full self because stress and anxiety kind of get in your way. So we're going to go over a little bit more of that today. I wanted to give some time for some people to come in the room, so we'll do a couple of housekeeping things. So I always want you guys to like, share, follow, and subscribe. If you haven't already had a chance to, get on the website, check out the website, and subscribe. I promise I do not send out those annoying emails where you're like every day or every week or even every month, because guess what? I don't have time and I have not hired anybody to send out an email. So you really will not get a whole lot of emails. You'll only get the ones that are when we have like a special sale or something like that, and we really want to make sure that everybody can not miss it. We do semi-annual sales now. So for all of those loyal customers who begged and pleaded for me to bring the body butter and leave-in conditioner and beer balm and all that stuff back, we do a semi-annual sale for that. So one in the spring, one in the fall. So if you join our email list, then you'll get the notification when those things are happening. Other than that, you won't hear from me unless I'm trying to give you some money off for your purchase. So, I said all that to say go on and get on there and subscribe for a girl. Okay, thank you. A second housekeeping item. I wanted to officially give a name to our series. It is now going to be known as the TRIBEvibe, a meditation series. So I would like to continue to keep doing other things with TRIBEvibe. It's kind of my updated take on It Takes a Village. And so I want to keep doing some other things with it later on. But right now, what we're doing is kind of like we talked about in the first couple of times, we're going to be doing some meditation every time. Every session we will be doing guided meditation. Okay? We'll be doing a couple of different techniques so that you can find which ones work best for you. For me, I just like to I call it my toolkit. I like to have as many things in my toolkit as I can. So I tend to kind of cycle through all of the different kinds of techniques because they're exercising different parts of your brain, and literally exercising different parts of your brain. And so, the more connections you have, baby, the better that engine runs. Okay. So we'll be doing some other things with this, doing some education, talking about mindfulness. Today we're going to go over some, I don't want to call it technical, but we'll be defining some different terms and kind of, talking about some real world examples of how do those things fit in. Because sometimes we hear words like people have anxiety, and then we're like, well, what does that really mean and how does it apply to my life? And then, after you hear an example of anxiety, then you say, oh, well, it's not just a panic attack, which is sometimes what people think of, right? So we're going to be doing that every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. You can catch us live. We'll be on Instagram and IG going live. And you can catch the playbacks whenever I post the videos directly after we do the live. So if you happen to miss one and you want to come back that same day, or if you want to join us on a different day besides Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can catch the playbacks. And then hopefully, by the end of the week, I will get the YouTube up and running. I know some people love to watch things on YouTube, so that's what we're attempting to do. We're attempting to get that going. I am waiting on an 18-year-old to do something for me. So if anybody knows an 18-year-old, you know it's hit or miss. Sometimes they adult own, and sometimes not so much. So, and when she sends me the link, I will get the YouTube posted because it's already ready to go. I just can't. Anyway, that's more than you guys need to know. So, all right, today we are going to be diving a little deeper into anxiety and stress. So, I know I gave you guys some homework yesterday. So I don't know if you did the homework or not. If you didn't, it's cool. If you did, great. We're no grades in this class, and if I had a class, it would probably be class participation. I'm saying that because Lord knows if I had a class and I was at an institution, they would be like, ma'am, you can't just have them kids show up and talk in the class. But I would do my darndest to make sure that we did a lot of class participation and not a lot of outside stuff. You know, or if it was outside stuff, it'd be real world, because I think that's the best way you learn. But if you did homework, great. If you didn't, try again next time, okay? If you did the homework, if you feel comfortable putting in the chat, did you find it helpful? If you want to give people some examples of what it was, the homework yesterday was to think about some times in your life where you wanted to start something new, even try something new, or, you know, just do something that wasn't like the first thing. You know how we have our wheelhouse of things and we wanted to do something outside of the wheelhouse. And we found that like there was a barrier to doing that. Right? So like, I don't know, you said to yourself that you were too busy, or it made you stressed out or uncomfortable or angry or, you know, whatever, sad, and it prevented you from doing something that you wanted to do. So that was a homework, to try to think of something, a time when that happened, or either just kind of generally, what's your pattern, right? So if you feel comfortable doing that, let me know if you had an example. If you want to write in there what your example was, that would be great. If not, don't. But yeah, so that was the homework. So, you know, if you're sitting here now and you weren't here and you could think of something, think of it, okay? Because we're going to talk a little bit further into like, you know, that kind of area of like what makes you stop things and what makes you go. And like, if you find yourself being stressed out or anxious, like what are some other things that happen along with that, right? Sometimes we don't identify the other things beyond just the feeling. So, you ready for some definitions? So we're going to define anxiety. So anxiety is basically just like the feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, and it's just kind of about something that you don't know, right? So, I don't know, for instance, like if I had a presentation, the very first time I talked in public, like, and not even the very first time I talked in public, which is so funny because people always tell me that I'm really natural when I talk in public, but I can't remember which performer it was. I want to say it was like Beyonce. It was somebody like really high level that performs all the time and that we all think is an amazing performer. I just can't remember specifically who it was. And they were like, oh yeah, I get nervous every single time. Every time. And they were like, right up until I go on stage. And then after I go on stage, it goes away and it's like a high and I love it. For me, it's not always the same way. I usually am nervous before I get up there, and then I'm usually still nervous when I get up there. So I try to do my prep work so I'm not as nervous. But, you know, the feelings before, that feeling of unknown when you get up there, that's kind of a situation, especially the first time you do something. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how you'll respond. You don't know how other people are going to respond to you. So it gives you kind of feelings of anxiety, right? You know, something that we've all been through. It's not as, they don't tend to do that on TV as much as they used to. Like early 2000s, I feel like everybody was on TV having nervous breakdowns and panic attacks. They don't tend to do that as much as they used to now. So I think everybody understands that anxiety is a very common occurrence in our lives. It happens all the time. It is a physiological response to stress. It just is, you know, so you're going to feel anxious at some point in time in your life, but it doesn't have to make you debilitated. Okay, so next definition is of stress. So stress is simply the feeling unable or feeling unable or overwhelmed when trying to deal with mental or emotional pressure. Right? Something simple. Well, not simple. Stress can be very complicated. But for the most part, it happens just like anxiety. It happens on a regular basis. I'm running late. I'm stressed. Nothing life-threatening is happening to me. Even if I'm running late for somewhere I don't even need to be on time, sometimes it stresses me out because I get overwhelmed and I feel unable to get there on time, right? Because sometimes you just cannot speed up the process, and so I get stressed. All right, now this is the kind of the I guess the fork in the road, right? Where you go from just regular occurrences of like anxiety and stress into where it can kind of turn into a major problem. And so that's when you have chronic stress. So that's just that you're stressed over a prolonged period of time. So, I mean, a real world example of that would be something like college. You go and you may not be stressed the whole time you're in college, but if y'all been to college before, it's stressful. I mean, it's one of those things that, it really develops a different skill than you may have developed if you didn't go, right? Because having those constant juggling of like social life and learning who you are as a person, being out of your house, having to buy food. It sounds so simple now as an adult, but y'all know it was a time where you was like, I don't know, like you just got a whole freezer full of frozen pizzas, knowing good and well ain't no nutrients in there, and how you supposed to study and your brain ain't got no fuel. So just college can be a situation where you have prolonged or chronic stress, right? So I mean, other things like going through a divorce, being a new mom. Hello, like that is definitely a time when you can go through a lot of chronic stress, right? And so some of the symptoms of chronic stress, not to say that just because you're going through something stressful that this is how it manifests, but just to give you some information. Some of the symptoms are sleeplessness, and we know that we've all been stressed before and not been able to sleep, or sometimes just been so excited and not been able to sleep. Right? Christmas when you was little, I don't know if anybody ever did that, just me. Low energy. That can be a symptom of chronic stress. When you lose your appetite or when you eat too much, right? Because I'm going to say I probably don't eat too much, but I know there have been times when I've had the same emotion and I ate too much and I had the same emotion and I didn't eat enough. Substance use. So we don't need to go into that. Y'all know what substance use and stress looks like. Withdrawing from like your friends and family and things that you like to do. Sometimes that is I would say pretty often that's a big sign of being stressed out. You kind of like, because you have the low energy and maybe you're not getting the sleep and maybe you're not eating enough or eating too much, and you just kind of be like, I'm just going to sit here on this couch and I'm not going to do nothing else. And you love to go bike ride, but you ain't going to bike ride. And then also lack of focus, right? So that can be another symptom of chronic stress. Just kind of, feeling foggy or just having a hard time really like narrowing down or I guess honing in on what it is that you want to think about. And what's crazy is, don't that make you more stressed out? Or is it just me? Like I get even more stressed when I'm stressed already and can't work at my like most efficient self, like when I can't be great. And I'm like, oh, this is making me even more stressed because I know I can do better than that. All right, so why are we talking about stress and like the symptoms of stress in relation to like our lives? Like what does it really do? When you're having that chronic stress, well, yeah, it's a little annoying and, you don't want to go through that, but what does it really do to your body? Like, so just to give kind of a general overview of it, fight, flight, or fight. You guys have all heard that in response to like having those times where you're stressed out. We all think about it like prehistoric times when it got developed. And I'm going to say a dinosaur. We all know that the dinosaurs and the humans went on the planet at the same time, okay? I have to get a disclaimer because all the fake news out here nowadays, you can't even joke sometimes without people thinking that the world's flat. But anyway, so if you think about it, you're there, you're walking, living your best life. Here come Mr. T-Rex out of the blue, right? So either what you're going to do is you're going to freeze, right? Or you're going to run. Or, well, fight or flight. It's just kind of, there are two different things that could happen, right? So your body's either going to ramp up or it's going to shut down, right? So during times of stress, because when our stress developed, it was those things that were going to kill us, right? Like you not learning that last week, Timmy walked off the cliff and fell 50 feet and died. You not learning that, like that not having a physiological stressor to your body to make sure that you remember that when Timmy walked off that cliff, he died. That's going to be a problem. So our bodies were really, really good at making sure that everything lined up so that we can learn those hard lessons. Well, if you fast forward, right, because we've been alive for how long as a species? If you fast forward to 2021, we don't have the same stressors. It's pretty generally known, and I'm again with the fake news because Trump got on TV talking about bleach and some people didn't know better. But it's pretty generally known that if you go walk off a 50-foot cliff with nothing else, you might have a hard time, right? So what our stress looks like now is, you know, like I said, being a new mom, going to college, things like that, right? So it's different. But we have the same physiological responses, right? So our mental and, you know, emotional and things like that, they're triggered by different stimulus, but we still having the same internal responses. And one of the, I won't say bad, but one of the things that can get hairy if it goes on for a long time is cortisol. And I don't know if you guys have heard about that. I know I love, because I love medical stuff, that it seems like the more the time goes on, the more people share and get to hear about different medical things. So you guys probably have actually heard of cortisol, and it's a stress hormone, right? So it's to help you with that fight or flight, right? So it's not really, it ain't there for when you're running late. It ain't there for when you're going to college. It's to make sure that you alive when a dinosaur jump out the bushes on you, right? So it's great in short periods, right? Because that's what it's for, is to get that adrenaline, that cortisol jumps up, and then your heart rate speeds up. You can see better, you can hear better, you can move quicker, you're stronger, right? Like all of these things happen, but they're supposed to happen in short periods of time for you to get away from the dinosaur, either to get ate, right? They're not supposed to be prolonged. But when you have chronic stress, right, which we said is prolonged, just stress over a long period of time, that cortisol level is still there, right? Because your body's still physiologically responding to the stress. And so that can cause you a couple of different problems. So I'm just going to list you off a couple of different things that cortisol can kind of negatively impact, right? So it can mess with your digestive system. So that's kind of even what we were talking about with the appetite and things like that. But I know sometimes I will even, if I'm really, really, really stressed, I'll even kind of feel like, you know, like just a little, my like stomach will kind of feel off, you know? So digestive issues can be caused weight gain or weight loss. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tell y'all, because I had to censor myself for a second. I said, no, I'm going to tell them. For me, I know that when I had that baby honey, I lost the weight, which is so crazy. I lost the weight pretty much as soon as I had her. But then I found myself getting the weight back on, and then the weight stuck there. And everything I knew to do before I had that baby was not working to get that weight off. Now, mind y'all, I'm not the exercise guru, okay? So it wasn't like I was out here in these gyms. Let me preface that, because there are some things I probably could have done extra that would have helped me get that weight off. But things I have done my whole life that I could do just to be like, oh, I feel like I'm getting a little heavy. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. None of that worked. And I realized just one day, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of stressing myself out even more, because I'm like, dang, how come I can't lose this weight? Like, why is this weight stuck on me like this? And, you know, you have to think like, oh, is it because I'm 30? You know, and it's like, and then I was like, nah, sis, it's because you're stressed out. It was simply because I was stressed out. And as I came to that realization and let a lot of that stress go, guess what happened? Some of those things that I used to do to get the weight off, they work now. Okay, right? Because it's just crazy. Why our bodies hating on us? Why we need to be stressed out and fat? That don't even make no sense. So if you stressed out and lose the weight, as long as you're healthy, I'm mad at you because that's not why. You know, I'm stressed out and got to keep the weight on. You stressed out and lose. Okay, I'm going to come back. Anyway, so another thing that can happen when we have these prolonged stressful periods, the chronic stress and the cortisol levels are still high, is our blood pressure. So I know some of you right now, if you haven't ever had this thought before, it might be a light bulb going off in your head when I said being stressed out and your blood pressure is high. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that for you to unpack by yourself. And actually, you know what? Another thing is crazy. It can mess with your reproductive health. So for all my men out there, I know it's a little different for y'all when it comes to things messing with your reproductive health, because I'm not talking about your ability to you know, push out the baby making juice. I'm talking about the other part of the reproductive. So, you know, if you stressed out and Mr. Johnson ain't showing up like how you want him to, might be time for you to go on and get in that therapy so you can get that worked out, brother. All right. Anyway, on to the next one. So it can also mess with your immune system. And if you know anything about overall health, you will know that your immune system plays a really major role in your just overall health, right? Homeostasis is a word we like to use in the health world for how things are supposed to get back to like being normal, right? So if you think about something over functioning or not functioning enough, right? You want it to be in the sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone. And your immune system plays a really big role in regulating a lot of different things, because if you think about it, like your immune system is circulating through your body, you know, through your lymph system, through your blood. And so obviously those two things go everywhere. So if something is wonky with your immune system, it's an opportunity for a lot of other things to not be able to function how they should. Okay? So that is all of the definitions I'm going to give you. I am not trying to saturate your brain at all today. But I wanted to give you some of those examples so that we can make sure we have the whole pie. So when we talk about things, we want to talk about some real world examples. We want to talk about some actual textbook definitions so that we can make sure that we, you know, talking about things with a little bit of authority, right? We got some information up under our belt when we're talking about them. All right. So now that we've got all of the bookkeeping stuff out of the way, I just wanted to talk about how I guess I always end up going back because I can't talk to you guys, like, because I can't, you know, have a dialogue with you. I always go back to telling you stories from my life. So if you get tired of it, I'm sorry, but that's what we're going to be doing on this here show. Okay. So, a time in my life when I realized that I was having some chronic stress and chronic anxiety. You know what is crazy about it is that I actually could not tell you when I actually had the like super epiphany, or like even when the stress even started, right? It kind of just crept up on me because it was like, I'll just give you guys a little bit of my backstory. So graduated high school, went to college, stayed in there for way longer than I should have. Got a degree, was like, all right, I'm going to turn right back around and go ahead and go to nursing school. Was in nursing school, was working full-time off and on. I was working a job that was PRN, so we got to go in when we wanted to. But, I mean, majority of the time, I was working close to full-time, right? Doing all that. And then one day I looked up and I was like, you know what? I don't like being here. So I'm going to quit my job, right? Because I had been there for 5 years. So I was like, I'm just going to quit that. And then I was like, I'm also going to quit nursing school and I'm going to start this business, right? Okay. Okay. So all that happened, right? I quit. I was like, oh my God, so many things in my life that were stressing me out are now gone. I'm free. I get to be my own boss. I get to do work when I want to. Don't have to put on no clothes if I want to work in my road. Right, right. Well, then I found out I was pregnant. I didn't have the worst pregnancy ever because I have a beautiful baby. But I mean, to tell you, honey, I was sick for the majority of the pregnancy. I was sick. I mean, like every day, I was throwing up every day. And if you've ever had to throw up, one day, you know, when you have food poisoning or something, and you realize like how just exhausted you are from throwing up, then you could understand how that was for months on end and not being able to eat and all that good jazz, right? So go through all that, and then finally at the end of it, I was like, all right, you know what? I can finally eat again, and like I got my little weight back together, and I was like, I'm living my best life. You know, when you pregnant, your hair get all long and thick and everything, skin was glowing right, honey, okay? Well, then I went to the hospital to go have a baby, and it took me 4 days to get the child out. I'm not even kidding. 4 days, and then I was like, all right, well, now that she's here, you know, you watch all those TV shows thinking you about to go have your newborn and still work and live your best life, and that's not real, because the sleep deprivation is realer than you trying to live your best life, okay? So this has been the little story I just told y'all. That was over, I mean, years, like 10, 11, 12 years worth of time, right? So I'm just steady. Like at the moment I maybe get a break from the stress, something else is coming in to stress me out. You know, adding different levels of stress here and there, different types of stress, right? So it just dawned on me one day. I think it was after I had actually started doing the therapy and like doing the meditation and like, you know, being really intentional about preserving my happiness, that I just realized, I was like, girl, how you just been living up underneath all this stress this whole time? And so sometimes it doesn't come to you at once, or it's not just one circumstance that is, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back. Sometimes it's just like a teaspoon worth of stress, and it just keeps happening and happening, and the next thing you know it, you just buried underneath it, right? So that's how the stress and anxiety and chronic stress and things for me, like that was like the biggest amount of like overall combined stress in my life. So I gave you guys that example so that you could challenge yourself, because I know that there are times in your life where you're stressed out, and we need to identify those, because until we know, knowing is the powerful part, right? Until we know, we can't do anything about it. And when we can't do anything about it, that little bit of stress may get added on to this little bit of stress, may get added on to that little bit of stress, and next thing we know it, we look up and it's been 15 years later, and we just been living under one stressful situation after another and never finding ways to resolve the stress, right? Or ways that we can manage the stress better in our lives so that we have an opportunity to not go through some of these things, right? To not have those physiological symptoms plaguing us because we haven't found a way to mentally deal with the stress. Sure. I'm trying to give y'all a break to let all that digest, right? So, after we said all that, I'm going to say this to you. Guess what helps with stress? Guess what helps with chronic stress? Meditation. So, what we're going to do today is do some meditation, right? So, we're going to actively work in a space that we know is going to help us to solve some of those problems that we know we all have, right? Okay, so today we are not going to listen to the whole episode. We're going to listen to just the meditation part. We got to do our housekeeping about the meditation. So everybody, what I want you to do is get comfortable. You can lay down. You can sit up. Live your best life in your social media chair. I'm going to stop telling y'all this is my social media chair, because it's really not. It just happened to be that this is I bought this for my baby when she was little and we was going to read in the chair. So, but it has morphed into the social media chair. So y'all welcome to the chair. But just sit down, get comfortable wherever you want to be. Try to limit some of your distractions. If they are there and you can't live in them, limit them. Like I said, if you periodically hear my lovely toddler out there living her best life, that's an all day, every day distraction for me that I can't do nothing about. But we still meditate through it. You cannot do meditation wrong at all. So whatever you're doing is perfect. The only wrong thing you could do is not show back up to continue to do the meditation, because it is something that you have to make a regular practice. I'm not saying you have to do it every day, but we heard last session, that the studies show, and they have done multiple studies over years, different ways, different studies in different ways to see. And meditation is one of the few things that you can do that after doing it, practicing it for a while, will actually change the structure of your brain, And like we said, when knowing, you can go Google it yourself. How does meditation affect long-term stress? Go Google it yourself. Don't believe me. I don't know if I want to tell you to believe Google either. Believe a credible source on Google. But we're here and doing it because it really does help. So get comfortable, spine straight, neck straight, lay down, sit up, bend your limbs if you want to. Limit some of your distractions. All right, you ready? We're about to start. All right, let me pull it up for y'all. Okay, here we go.
So with those things in mind, just taking a moment now, we're going to start with our eyes open, a nice soft focus. Not looking at one particular thing, but just aware of everything around you. And maintaining that soft focus, just taking a big deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, as you breathe in each time, noticing how the lungs fill with air. As you breathe out each time, just noticing how the muscles in the body soften. Just one more time, breathing in through the nose. And as you breathe out through the mouth, if you'd like to, just gently closing the eyes. And before you do anything else, just pausing to enjoy that feeling of having stopped. And just feeling the weight of the body pressed down. Just slowly becoming more aware of the space around you. It might be sounds. Noticing any resistance to those sounds. Just allowing thoughts to come and go, sounds to come and go. Just letting go of any resistance. And as we begin, just taking the opportunity to notice how the body's feeling. So always just checking in. Is there a sense of heaviness or lightness in the body? Agitation or stillness? So not thinking about it, but just noticing how it feels. And perhaps just beginning to notice that movement of breath in the body. So that rising and falling sensation. So to begin with, just very general, where in the body do you feel that movement? Could be in the chest, the shoulders, the diaphragm, the stomach. No need to breathe in any special way at all. And if you can't feel that movement, just gently placing your hand on the stomach. So just settling the attention on that movement of breath. If you like, you can just follow that movement, or you can follow the movement and count the breath as it passes. If you count, remember we count 1 with the rising sensation, 2 with the falling sensation, then 3, then 4, just up to a count of 10, and then starting again at 1. If you prefer, let go of any counting and just stay with that movement. So our only job in this exercise, body knows how to breathe, no effort required. But in those moments when we realize we've been distracted, just pausing, acknowledging it, note it as thinking, let it go, and just gently bring the attention back to the breath again. Just try that on your own now. So knowing that it's natural for the mind to wander, not giving yourself a hard time, simply acknowledging it, noting it, labeling it as thinking, letting it go, and coming back to the breath. And we're not trying to catch every single thought, only those moments when you've actually been lost in thought. In that moment of realizing, noting it, and coming back to the breath. And then just for a moment now, I'd like you to let go of any focus, even any focus on the breath. For a few seconds, let your mind do whatever it wants to do. If it wants to wander, now you can let it wander. And then just gently bringing the attention back to the body. Just coming back to that feeling of weight and contact. Coming back to any sounds around you, the space around you. And whenever you're ready, you can just gently open the eyes again. But before you move too much, just pausing to notice how the body feels, how the mind feels. So important to recognize how it feels so that we are that much more likely to come back and do this again. In your mind, just putting in the intention to carry this idea with you into your everyday life. Not just the idea, but the feeling. that quality of ease into your everyday life. And knowing that this noting technique is not something that we only do during meditation. You can also do it in everyday life. So when you feel like the mind is starting to speed up, when you feel emotions are starting to build up, just pausing, noting them, acknowledging them, letting them go, and then coming back to whatever you're doing at the time.
All right. How's everybody feeling? I wanted us to continue, like I said a couple of sessions ago, to continue to do the same one a few times in a row so that we can feel like we're mastering the different techniques. So if you're getting on and you didn't hear me say that, you're like, didn't we just do that one? That's why we're doing the same ones over and over again, because I know sometimes things like meditation, they can be challenging, you know, maybe even just kind of like the whole idea of it may just because maybe nobody else around you is talking about it, even though you hear it, you know, in popular culture, social media and stuff like that. But maybe nobody in your immediate circle does it or your family does it. And so it's a little intimidating. And then maybe you tried it one time and you was like, oh my God, this is just impossible. So I just wanted to give us an opportunity to try to, you know, kind of master it a little bit. So that particular meditation is about stress. And so, of course, it's very fitting for our topic this week. So I'm hoping that it's actually what we're talking about before we start our meditation, doing the meditation over and over again, and then implementing some of the things that we're learning into our everyday lives. I hope it's really making a change for you. And with all that being said, you probably know somebody who it can make a change for too. Or if you just want an accountability partner, because I'm here to be your accountability partner, but I'm not on your phone like, hey girl, you get on meditation tonight. So if you need to find your accountability partner, if you know somebody who you think this will really be helpful for, or if you just want your people to come on here so y'all can talk about it later, definitely make sure you tag them in the post or share the post, you know, and send it to them or something so that they can get on there, because I know that what I have seen through my own eyeballs, right? This is my own personal understanding of the situation, right? Is that we don't have enough people showing up that look like us, you know, that come on here and just dressed in regular clothes and talk to us regular and talk about things that we've been through and the way we've been through them, doing things like this. And like I said, when you see that they have studied this, right? Like institutions, like I'm not going to call none but legitimate institutions have studied this and say, we all stressed. We know that for facts. We all stressed, right? And that you have something as simple as sitting down 10 minutes a day and meditating that is proven, known, and proven to be able to help you be less stressed, because we know all this stuff we're going to do is going to stress you out. Here's a tool to decompress and to have less stress. We need to start promoting things like this. So share, like, follow, subscribe. Tell your mama, your cousin, your auntie and them to come on, get on here, and don't just tell them. Call them on it. Be like, are you getting on tonight? We're here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. live. But these videos are up anytime. So tell your people, come on, okay? That was not a shameless plug. That was really a call for mental health, okay? Anyway, I love you all. Tomorrow we will be back with our last, well, not our last talk about stress. That would not be even a thing, okay? Tomorrow we're going to be back and we are going to talk about stress again in a little bit of a different way. You see how we kind of working through the different things, okay? Stay with a girl. I'm working it all out too as we go, okay? I started it and didn't know what we was doing, and I was like, we're going to work it out. So we are working it out together, family. So tomorrow we'll be back to talk about some more stress. We're going to actually talk about like some techniques outside of just meditation that can help you decompress with your stress or manage your stress, or shoot, just even avoid that stress. That's me. I'm the like, let me avoid the stress in the first place. I don't want to work it out. I want to avoid it in the first place. So we're going to talk about some of those things tomorrow. I love you guys as always. Have an amazing rest of your evening. And I will see you back here tomorrow live at 7. All right. Bye, my loves.